Introduction. This article discovers about culture, entrepreneurship, and economic development. When the perspective of entrepreneurship and knowledge of the role of culture are combined, the dynamic process in regional development will be able to be understood more deeply. Awareness of culture has encouraged to seek more information based on entrepreneurship. This research also sees culture as a dynamic factor and explore in what ways and to what degree culture is influencing mechanism in regional development. What I can conclude, the determining factors of local development are related to culture.
The perspective of entrepreneurship. This is about industrial and economic development. There is an increased attraction to build a firm and job after a war. The basis for economic development is related to the entrepreneur, which is its own rules, action, and involvement. Economic development is not only dependent on entrepreneurs who start private companies and exploit the potential of various market segments, but about sufficient development. Economic development also develop community institution and infrastructure development. For example, in Sweden, Johannesson 1989 discusses the entrepreneur's role in developing topology. An important aspect of entrepreneurship is breaking patterns and combining available resources in new ways. The main role is to implement new ideas into a new firm or many types of community organization. Thus, entrepreneurship involves taking risks, which is in two aspects that are economic and social. Indeed, the entrepreneurship concept must be defined clearly. The perspective of culture. This is discussed how the culture can influence entrepreneurship and develop in the local and region. For example, in Norway, dynamic and traditional, more active and better economic performance is the differences between the Sunmeri region and island countries. It's shown that a part of the area has the advantage, which is environmental, that stimulates entrepreneurs' activity and develop small business. Culture also provides an arena or platform for entrepreneurship. Plus, it gives a dynamic element to local and regional governance. Thus, culture is the basis for employment in firms in many sectors and industries. Clausen divided into two concepts of culture, namely culture as a sector, the sector model, and the culture as an aspect of all sectors, the aspect model. In this aspect, culture represents the means and purpose of activity. The purpose of introducing this concept is to focus on individuals who act as entrepreneurs by launching initiatives that can facilitate the restructuring and economic recovery of an area. The objective is to change people's perspective and basic belief about a situation and their attitude and behavior. Through cultural action, perspective and prospect that are seen for development at the time can be changed.
My name is Darshini and I propose Kalyapan level matrix number 152436. Cultural entrepreneurship. Based on the article, cultural entrepreneurship is interpreted as the action of implementing tasks aimed at changing culture of an era. It is also said that cultural entrepreneurship focuses upon the changes that facilitate economic restructuring and growth. It is aimed at changing factors in order to facilitate economic development. Cultural activities that is implemented will contribute towards economic restructuring and innovations. The writer of the article, Olav, have divided aspect model of cultural entrepreneurship into three categories, which is culture as a frame of reference, culture as potential for creativity, and culture as the quality of community and determining factors for various activities. For the first point, culture as a frame of reference, culture determines how people define their role in industrial development. Culture may affect work discipline and attitudes towards entrepreneurship. Culture conditions in an area may enhance or prevent its economic development. Secondly, culture as a potential for creativity. The author's viewpoint is that artists and entrepreneurship are closely related. Creativity is a characteristic of many cultural activities. Culture inspires creativity in various industries, which leads to new form of entrepreneurship. Third point, culture as quality of the community and determining factor for various activities. Culture is important for the qualities of residential areas and the well-being of people. Culture plays an important role for the local economic development. Places with high cultural standards allow people to settle there, which may have an important comparative advantage in developing a good labor market, which will lead to the local industrial development.
In conclusion, to understand the mechanism of economic development, it is important to have knowledge about culture and entrepreneurship. This is because the risk of reducing culture to a simple and predictable means of achieving some economic development goals should be emphasized. In general, in entrepreneurship, this should be emphasized as a characteristic of culture and cultural entrepreneurship because an important aspect of entrepreneurship is unpredictability. All types of entrepreneurship involve in various risks and culture also involve in breaking rules.